I would like to invite you to go pick up online Adam's Synchronological chart. The one I had on the JPEG says 1881. Maybe it's a revision of 1871. But what I've read online is that basically this Presbyterian pastor back in 1871 created a timeline of everything that happened in history, not just in the Bible, but framed in the Bible perspective and also using extra biblical sources. It's an incredibly in-depth chart. I'm still studying through it. I know the years are off a little bit because I don't believe that the earth was created in 4004 BC. I believe it's actually a little bit later than that. So like more like 3,900. I don't know off the top of my head. And I won't know, and we won't know that because there's some different things we need to talk about. One thing is when you're basing dates off of somebody gave birth and then they lived this many years, gave birth, that person lived this many years, gave birth. Over time, there's an effect called, I don't know what it's called, I just know I call it the accordion effect. The accordion effect basically means that did you give birth to that person when you were 21 and 1 day old, or did you give birth to them when you were 21 and 8 months old? It adds up over time. I mean, two people in a row could be a year difference of what was recorded and what would be. I mean, they didn't give like in the year 1984 this happened. No, it was by birth to birth to birth. So there is an accordion effect that would have that can make it longer than it really is. Also, we need to realize that there are some other factors, like the original rotation of the Earth was 360 days around the Sun. That's why we have 360 degrees and it's not that been recent since it's been 365. It's changed over time. But even the Greeks realized that 360, degrees in a circle. Circle of time. Sorry, now I'm coughing. I was hiccuping earlier. Now I'm coughing. So that's going to have a slight change on it. But at the same time, as we're getting farther away from the sun, that's why it happens. I forgot to say that part. The Earth is spinning at a faster rate. I don't know if this is called the Coriolis effect. See, one of the things about, I do have an extremely high IQ. I'm not bragging at all. I'm just telling you what the truth is. That doesn't mean I can remember all the words used for all these physics, mathematical concepts. I understand the mathematical concepts. I understand the physics. What people call it is totally, sometimes like escapes me. And that's because I don't understand. It's not that I don't understand. I don't have to memorize all these words. I just understand what the concept is behind it. So one of the things is, like the wind going around the planet is faster than the actual rotation of the planet. Now, this is only going to happen to get faster and faster and faster. That's why Jupiter, you see the bands making, like, how do I say it? Like it looks like lines going around Jupiter. That's because the wind is like moving through like a soup almost of gases, and it's making those streaks happen. I'm sure at one point it was like a straight line, and over time that line has been bent, because around the equator part is faster than, say, the North and South Pole of a celestial being. Same thing is true for Earth. I mean, the wind around the equator is faster going around the Earth than it is when you go away from the equator. So anyway, there is some scientific evidence that we are spinning faster than we were, say, 100 years ago. And it's hard to really know because, they keep saying we have to add in leap seconds here and leap days now and other things to offset all this information. So it's hard to detect this stuff because even though we may be having more days going around the, day, night, considering days, the days themselves are also getting shorter. So it's a very complicated procedure of balancing things one with the other. So if you add up the seconds in a year now to the seconds in a year 1,000 years ago, would they be the same, and why? That's where it's a little bit complicated, and we don't have enough information to know that. And back in 1871, this guy had none of that information. So and he wasn't probably a scientist. He probably didn't study these things. He probably didn't really, I don't know how much mathematics he studied. I'm not saying he was a dummy at all, by no stretch of the imagination. I mean, the man that could do all this clearly is brilliant. And I definitely want to study it. But hey, I'm just saying the dates, while they may not be perfect, they're still pretty darn accurate. I was looking at it going, he even has in there that Jesus was born 4 to 6 BC. And even the explanation of why whoever created the calendar got off. Now I kept reading around that section because it is a huge, huge chart. I have not gotten to read all of it. No, not even close. And I really have to get a paper copy of it because it slows my computer down. It's such a huge JPEG file. I'm going to maybe have to cut it into pieces and make it into PDF, like a booklet or something, to study this thing because it's too massive. I mean, it's like, I don't even know how to do this. When you look at it as one JPEG on your screen, it's like a little thin line going across the middle of your screen. And it covers the almost 6,000 years up to this time. I bet after he got finished, I was like going, darn it, I'm still 200 years away from the rapture and the glory, the millennial reign of Christ. He was probably disappointed at that point because he found out all this work was to find out, are we close to the end? I don't know if that was his motivation because I haven't read enough of it yet. But if I was me making this, I'd be, oh, we're so close, but we're so far, and I will never see it. I remember back in the 80s, when I got saved, I started realizing, wait a minute, they're giving dates here. And so I started adding those up, and then I found out for myself that, yes, we're close to the end. And that's when I started realizing the whole, what I call back then, nobody taught this in school. I mean, I went to a public school. You don't get much in there. I called it the accordion effect. That's what I called it back then. Because I'm like going, wait a minute. So what if they give birth after they're 18 years old in one day, as opposed to 18 years old and 10 months down the way? That's going to add up over time. I even realized that in middle school. I was not a Christian middle school. In high school. But nobody's ever taught me that at school. It's something I had to figure out on my own. Hey, I just want to make sure that you guys check that out. Let me know what you think. I'm not giving my approval on it yet. I'm just saying it's another resource that I've never heard of until recently. I just happened to stumble upon it yesterday, and I do want to study more about it. Sorry, I did pass by a person smoking a while ago, and I was like, where is that smoke coming from? I was downwind from a woman. I couldn't see a cigarette in her hand until I waved at her, and when she lifted her hand to wave, I was like, oh, she's got it like tucked under, like usually how a man smokes a cigarette. Like a woman usually puts it between her index fingers. This is what I was told when I was in middle school by some guys on the bus. That if you want, like, we were pretending like our kids will be kids. It's like our pencil was a cigar or cigarette or whatever. And now the way I was holding it, they're like, no, that's the way women hold it. You don't hold it like that. You hold it like this, like pinch it between here, and the cigarette's basically going down your hand. So anyway, she was holding it like that. All right, well, I'm going to get off this beach. I could stay out here another hour, actually, because it's only about 8 o'clock. But why don't I stay out here? Mainly because I got to use the bathroom, and I'm thinking about it right now, going, not many people that way, not people that way. And I could, but nah, I'm not going to do that. That's gross. All right, have a great day today.